Yo, yo. What's
Yeah.
going on, everybody?
What up?
Lunch Table Sports coming back at you. Another episode. I'm Big Tice, joined by the boys. What's good, boys?
What up?
Good, Tice?
What's
going on?
good?
And we continue this big sports week with news that the MLB is back. Woo!
Let's
A
go.
round of applause for the
See
MLB.
it? You love to see it.
Lockout over. New CBA agreed upon. Spring training started today. And obviously, overall, this is a good thing. We get baseball back. There will be a season, but this new CBA, obviously, it was very debated upon for a long time. That's what kept this lockout going. And I'd say there's some good and some bad to it. Dilly, what do you think?
I like it. I like some of the new rules that came into play. I like the universal DH the most.
I do too.
It'll hype up baseball a lot more, during those clutch moments, when you're in the bottom of the ninth and have the bases loaded down by 2, you don't want your pitcher up at bat. You know what I'm saying? You want a hard hitter, you want a hard hitter like Albert Pujols, free agent, got a lot of teams interested in him for that universal DH spot. I also like the addition of 2 more teams to the postseason.
Yeah, that's another good thing.
Right. More playoffs, the better. So I'm looking forward to it. Kind of bummed out that the season got delayed a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping my Nats can make some moves. I saw we are one of the dark horse teams for Carlos Correa, which is amazing to see, given that we traded away one of the best shortstops in baseball last year in Trey Turner. So hopefully we can make the push for that, given that we are one of the highest teams in cap space. So I'm excited.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think there's definitely some good about the CBA. The universal DH, good thing. Expanded postseason, good thing. No more 7-inning doubleheaders. Doubleheaders will be regular 9 innings again. I like that.
Yep.
And another big one that I haven't really seen many people talking about is the
Base plates are getting larger.
Oh yeah, bases are getting larger.
The
one I saw was no more runners on second in extra innings.
Right.
I was not a fan of that rule at all.
No.
And I'm glad that they took that away. But the big one that everybody is talking about from this CBA that I personally do not like at all is banned shifts. No longer can you shift your defense based on a certain hitter at the plate. I don't like it. I feel like it's taken away from, it's like restricting the strategy of the game a little bit. And I also feel like MLB players should just be held to a higher standard than this. I mean, you made it to the MLB. This is the men's league. This is the premier stage for professional baseball in the world. Like, I don't know. It just seems like kind of a cupcake move to me, but I don't know. One man's opinion.
Yeah, no, I get you. I mean, the shift is also a good way to keep hitters working on their game, themselves as well, obviously, because if you're a pull type left-handed hitter, and you beat the shift going the opposite way, that's always going to feel good, and you're you get to experience it in a real game rather than BP or whatever. So yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it much either, but. Couple big trades, what's good, Trev?
I'm just reading the new rules. Lottery draft. But yeah, what were you saying?
I was gonna bring up. I don't know. Did any of you guys have more to take on the whole lockout and any of the stuff?
Nah, not a real big baseball guy. Still trying to get to it, but
for sure.
I don't really have a lot to say, but I'm extremely glad that we're going to have sports and there is not going to be a lockout situation, because we saw the lockout situation back in 2012 with the NBA, something like that, and it took them forever to get back on the court, and I'm glad that they're still going to be able to get play.
100%.
Right. Oh yeah, all day. Well, that covers that. Exciting. We'll have a lot more baseball news coming along your way throughout the season. A couple big more moves had been made since our last podcast. Obviously, star defensive beast, you could call him, from the Bears, got traded going back west for a bag of pebbles. D-Maj, I know you're hurting for this. So what do you got?
Honestly, I'm gonna start with the Chargers because I feel like there's a lot for me to say about the Bears. But Chargers, I think, won the deal. I mean, with Khalil Mack healthy, he's easily a top 5 defensive player in the league. And I think everybody's looking at the pass rush duo between Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack a lot. Obviously, great duo. I think the one thing people are overlooking is the fact that they got a player for a second-round pick that is a force against the run, which was a weak spot for them. They were bottom 5 defense against the run last year. Jerry Tillery is god-awful. Just wanted to say that. But with Khalil Mack, that instantly improves the run defense dramatically. I think, honestly, with the Bears, he was a better run defender than he was a pass rusher the past few years. I mean, obviously, the first year with the 12 sacks, but ever since then, his foot injury hindered him in the pass rush situation. But against the run, he was still forced. And I think that really helps their defense in the long run. You look at them still maintaining that first-round pick. I still think they go out and get Jordan Davis with that pick. On top of that, they have plenty of cap space to go out and get JC Jackson. So with that planning around it all, I think that team could go from a playoff, maybe back end wild card to, honestly, they could win the division easily. I think that defense with all those defensive upgrades and the offense already locking back in Mike Williams and being a great offense as it was top 10 last year. I think the Chargers dramatically improved the team in every aspect. Free agency, it didn't just affect like the defense instantly. It affected the free agency pool. It affected the draft capital that they still have. They're set up perfectly. The Bears, on the other hand, I think a lot of people are overreacting about what happened. I think you got to look at the fact that he's been hurt the past 3 seasons with that foot injury. He hasn't played to the level. He's missed plenty of games. Love Khalil Mack. He's an absolute beast when he's on the field, but best ability is availability, and he wasn't always available. When we drafted Travis Gibson in the 5th round 2 years ago, loved it. I thought, you know what, that was going to be the side piece to Khalil Mack. He's going to be on the other edge rusher position, and with Robert Quinn slotting in now, having the best season of any Bears defensive end basically ever. I think it will slot very well. He had 7 sacks in 9 games last season as a starter. You basically take the same math. He's projected 12 sacks, which is what Khalil Mack had in his Defensive Player of the Year season. Travis Gibson, I think, slots in very well. You gain plenty of cap space. We're 6th in cap space right now. There was plenty of things we had to fix on the offense. We got a 2nd-round pick. I think there's still a lot we can fix with offense with that. It gives you more flexibility in the draft process. We had basically no picks going into the draft as it was. You have that 2nd pick that we already own. I think you use that on Christian Watson out of North Dakota State. I think that's perfect. And then you can use the 2nd pick on probably Daniel Fileo out of Minnesota. I think it really works out in their favor. I think everybody wanted to look at it and be like, oh, they only gave up a 2nd-round pick for Khalil Mack. Like, are you kidding me? The Rams did the same thing with Von Miller. And
they got him a Super Bowl, so it doesn't matter.
And I think the Chargers made a great move for their team, but I also think the Bears made a great move. They had needs they needed to address. Khalil Mack wasn't playing. In the end, I think it was a great move for both teams. One easily a Super Bowl contender, and one I think still is a dark horse. I mean, there's still plenty of upside for that Chicago Bears team. So I don't know. I'm happy. It was very heartbreaking. I was on the way to the gym when I saw that trade happen. I was sick to my stomach, but I started to think about it a lot more. And honestly, I'm not mad. I still wish we got probably a little bit more for Khalil, but everything that we got in return, not just draft capital, I think helps a lot, especially with us cutting Eddie and Tariq. I think there's a lot we can do in free agency, a lot we can do in the draft with that second round pick. We can even trade into the first if there's somebody we still really like. I think there was a lot of moves in that worked out for both teams. Honestly, I'd call both teams a winner.
So
Yeah, I looked at it.
obviously, Maybe what's a good trip?
I was just saying, when I first saw the trade come out, I instantly thought, I was like, wow, the Bears just got robbed. But good point, DiMaggio. I think both teams are winners. Now that you say that.
I think that for this trade, the Chargers are going to be like the immediate winner from this. They're going to reap the rewards most likely next season and get a playoff berth off of it. That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
But I do credit the Bears, because after this upcoming season, when Khalil Mack's contract is off the books, with some of these other moves they've been making, they're like going to be wide open in terms of cap space, like with the expected rise that comes every offseason in like a total like salary cap, just like from the league. And then with Khalil Mack off the books, like the Bears are projected to be, I think, over $100 million in cap space next offseason. And that's never a bad thing to have for a young team, especially a young team that has a quarterback on a rookie deal.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like, if you look at it that way for the Bears, I'd say like, yeah, like this is good for you too, but also you have to sign the right players, and you have to draft the right players. So there's a lot of ifs for the Bears. I would say that like the safer winner, like, I guess if that makes sense, would be the Chargers.
I get what you're
but
saying.
I think that in the silver lining for the Bears, you can look at it and say like, okay, you're really opening yourselves up to really transform this team around a new regime and a new quarterback. So hats off to them. But as a Packers fan, I got to say, I really like this trade. I mean, we got Khalil Mack out of the NFC North. People are talking about Kirk Cousins maybe being traded. The Lions are the Lions. I mean, send Rodgers out there left-handed next year. Save the right for the playoffs.
I was gonna say the same thing, Tice. Like when I first saw it, I honestly, like alongside Trev, I thought the Bears got robbed. But then like after like thinking about it for like quite some time today, I'm with you, Tice. I think the Chargers are 100% the winners right away. But I think because of the fact that the Bears have such a young, like they have a young, I guess you could say a young core in a way. They have such a huge upside to the point where they could really realistically be the winners 5-10 years down the road,
Yeah. I mean,
so
exactly. And
I think,
continue.
I was gonna say I think they both 100% won the trade. I think the Chargers definitely want it right away. But like I said, give it 5-10 years and I think it's be pretty even. So
and there's also other things that had to be considered too, not even just like pending free agents from other teams. I mean, this is his 5th-year option this year, and he's expected big money. David Montgomery, whether or not they want to sign him back, I hope they do. He needs to get paid. There's a lot of players that are still on the books that need to get paid next season automatically. And Khalil Mack not even this year, but next year was affording $30 million almost over. And so it was a big move that needed to happen at some point, whether or not you're going to restructure his contract, do something about it. But honestly, as much as I'm going to miss him, I think I love Travis Gibson. I can't talk about him enough, because I feel like when I watched him last season, I saw glimpses of the same player that Khalil Mack was in his beginning years as Travis Gibson. He's very good against the run. He has basically the same one-armed stab move that Khalil Mack has. I saw it against Jared Goff, and he absolutely rocked him in that game, the second one. And I was just watching him. I was just like, honestly, with Khalil Mack out, I still believe in this defense. The defense still has a lot of key pieces, even without Khalil Mack. And the draft capital is there. Even if in the second round, there's plenty of good players that need to be looked at. Just like I think Christian Harris is another player that can be slotted in at the middle Mike position. Good rangy player, really good against the run. And with how he schemes, how Matt schemed up the Colts, he loves blitzing his middle linebacker. And I feel like that
new
was
defense, though.
Huh?
You're about to have a whole new defensive scheme. So who knows if that's what you guys are going to be wanting to do with your whole middle linebackers blitzing, or maybe you want to.
Well, no, that's how Matt ran it in.
Maybe you're talking about. I'm sorry, you're talking about Matt Eberflus and not Matt Nagy?
Nah,
okay.
hell no, not Matt Nagy. He needs to get I never want to talk about that man again. Never in my life. I want to forget that period.
Just forget me. You guys went from a Matt to a Matt.
Yeah, we did. And we went from Orion to Orion, and Ryan Gates to Ryan Poles. So, and I trust Ryan Poles to make the right decisions. I mean, he wants to fill the trenches with dogs, and he wouldn't give a Khalil Mack a dog in the trench if he didn't already have something in plan for the offseason. So I really do trust what happened. I think Chargers obviously immediate winners at this point. The Chargers are already looking like they honestly could be the best team in that division right now with how the Chiefs. I love the Chiefs, always will be a great team when you have Patrick Mahomes at the helm, but they are losing some key free agents in the offseason. I mean, Tyrann Mathieu not coming back. Tre'Davious isn't coming back. I mean, there's a lot of players.
Yeah.
So I feel like the Chargers at this point are looking like favorites in that division already. But I do trust the Bears.
I don't know. I don't know about favorites, but I would say that this is a desperate move by the Chargers, but I call it desperate only because that division is only getting better, and it's going to get better with time. So it was a move that needed to happen right now, or else the Chargers may not have another chance at getting into the playoffs, maybe even the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Demonji, I was going to say, you're talking about Christian Harris possibly filling that role. I was going to say you can even slot in two of the three, let's say, Georgia linebackers, because we obviously know Nakobe Dean's going to be drafted probably pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
So you still have Quay Walker, and you still have Channing Tindall, which could also slot in there. But then you also have your boy from Penn State, Jesse what is that, Lukita? Jesse Lukita.
Well,
you can also slot.
Well.
You can also you can slot them all in there. I mean,
of course. So. And honestly, if Devin Lloyd goes late in the draft, like into the 20s, I could definitely see them trading up for Devin and using all their cap space that they have right now on the offensive weapons that they want. Because there's still plenty of offensive guys that you can slot into that offense easily. Like Teron Armstead, Christian Kirk. You could get Brian from the Rams to fill the center role. I think I saw on Bleacher Report, they were talking about Ryan Jensen being the perfect fit for the Bears. And I believe that's honestly the perfect fit. The Bears have always been known for their run game and an amazing defense. And Ryan Jensen is if you say he's not the best run blocking center in the league, he's 2, because the only guy I can think of is Kelsey. That's the only other guy that's better than him at this point. So I really do think the Bears are in a position to really be a dark horse next year for the playoffs. I think everybody's already counting them out because of that move, but with the cap space, with the young player, with the young core, and the defense already being top 10 without Khalil Mack for the majority of the season, I don't know. I definitely think that team could go far.
And before we go on to the next topic, I was going to say back to Devin Lloyd. See, I didn't even think about putting him in that spot because of the fact he may get drafted early, but then I didn't even think about him, let's say, falling, and then you guys drafting up and getting him, because that honestly makes a lot of sense too. Because he'd fit your fast-paced defense too. So I mean, there's a lot of
Roquan at the week and him and Mike. It would slot perfectly.
This is a really, really deep line. I mean, really, really deep linebacker draft too. So
this is a deep draft class in general.
It's a really deep draft class in multiple positions. And I feel like that's the thing that I think the Bears really did use to their advantage. I know they only got a second, but there's still a lot they can do with that extra second.
Tons of value.
There's so many good players that will fall into that second round. That a lot,
especially defensively this year.
Defensively, especially. So
it kind of makes my heart crackle when you mention Christian Kirk's name in that, but hey, that's business. I also, speaking of that though, I read something, saying that OBJ could actually be a great replacement for Christian Kirk, given that him and D-Hop are great friends. You're just getting a more experienced Christian Kirk in that matter. So I thought it was pretty interesting. I would love that. That'd be freaking amazing. So
I know Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald said he wants, if he comes back, he said he wants the Rams to really, really sign OBJ back. So
right. I mean,
we'll see.
Yeah, there's multiple possibilities, but you never know. Hopefully Cardinals can pull that one off. But bring us to the next topic. Obviously that wasn't the only big trade that went down this week. Carson Wentz is now the new quarterback for the Washington Commanders. I'm not really mad about the trade. I'm not really mad about the trade. You're putting Carson Wentz back with a top 10 receiver in Scary Terry, and DeAndre Carter's on the come up. Logan Thomas, not a bad tight end, and then Antonio Gibson,
Curtis Samuel's coming healthy.
Curtis Samuel. Yep. So
and their defense is really good.
Right.
Their defense is really good.
Right.
They have one of the top young edge rushers in the league now. So
I did see
know.
that, the trade happened mostly because Carson Wentz's inability of leadership and all that, which I can kind of understand. I mean, if he could turn that around, I think it's great for Ron Rivera as well. I don't know. I like the trade. I think Washington will be a good fit for him, being back in the NFC East and
I think
competing
it's a
with
good
his
fit
former
for him, too.
team. I think
Mhm.
the Cowboys have a real competition now in the East. So what do you guys think?
I mean, granted, I just don't like that division in general. I mean,
Right.
I think all of us can talk on that division in general, being one of the weaker ones in the most recent years of the league. But I honestly see, I'm not a big Carson Wentz guy, as you guys all know, but I think it's a really, really good fit for him. Granted, like you said, top 10 receiver in Scary Terry possibly. A really good defense. Really some good young stars on the team with a good coach in Ron Rivera, good coach.
He's a great coach.
I think I think it's a good fit. I think it's a good fit for sure. He gets to basically play his old team again, which is instantly going to become like a little revival tour type thing, and he also gets a shot at the Cowboys again. So
Right.
I think it's quality signing for the Commanders. So
I mean,
Well-
could we see another potential MVP running season from Carson Wentz?
To be honest, I think that the fit with Washington is an even better fit than with Indianapolis because
Mhm.
one Carson Wentz has never had a top 10, even top 15, let alone wide receiver to throw to. For the last 3 years before Indianapolis, his top target was always a tight end in Zach Ertz. So you actually give him some dynamic threats on the outside. It can drastically improve a quarterback who threw for 3,500 yards, had a 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. I really only think Carson Wentz gets better after this year. I know that's a hot
think so
take to some people, but I've always been a believer in Carson Wentz. I think he's always been a fighter. He's come back from injury stronger than he was before. So,
I think
Well,
he's a great fit. Oh no, go Tice.
I hate to be the pessimist here, but personally, I'm not a fan of it. I think that I've seen all I need to see from Carson Wentz, and I feel like last year was a golden opportunity for Carson Wentz, and to be honest, he kind of blew it. I mean, watch week 18 and you see all you need to see. I mean, Carson Wentz, you're one game away from the playoffs. You're going to fucking Jacksonville. They have the number 1 overall pick in the draft. I mean, this is a garbage team, literally. And you just get the brakes blown off you. So I think that was all I needed to see from Carson Wentz. I was a fan of Carson Wentz coming out. I thought that that near MVP season he had, I was a big fan of the way he was playing, but whatever good mojo he had going then, he is just totally lost. And I don't think he can regain it, especially in a building where he does not have a single advocate like he did in Frank Reich in the Colts. And I personally would argue that Terry McLaurin right now is about the same level receiver that Alshon Jeffrey was in that near MVP season for the Eagles. Jeffrey on the Eagles was a good receiver.
I'm not saying he wasn't,
but Jeffrey on the Eagles, especially in those first couple years, I think that he's had the weapons before, but I don't know. You're downgrading in the O-line. You're downgrading in the run game behind you. It seems like there's going to be a lot on Carson Wentz's shoulders this year. And from what I've seen out of Carson Wentz, the more that's on his shoulders, the worse he performs. So
before you go real quick, Dimanche, I was going to say, I think, I mean, Alshon Jeffrey was a great receiver in his prime, but I think when Carson Wentz got him, he was near the tail end. I think Scary Terry's still on the way up. I think he can only get better from here. So I think I'd probably give right now, if we were to compare the Carson Wentz era with Alshon Jeffrey to the Carson Wentz era that's soon to come with Scary Terry, I think I'm going to give the nod to Scary Terry in this situation, Tice.
Yeah, and also
I can respect that.
Yeah.
I want to bicker with you about this because you say Carson Wentz blew up. Like he in the last game against the Jags, granted, the Colts have never won a game in Jacksonville for the last 6 years heading into this game, regardless. So they don't have a history in winning in Jacksonville. This is something they don't do. But he went 17 for 29, 185 yards, and 1 TD and 1 interception.
It's not good.
It's not anything you want to see out of your starting quarterback trying to make the playoffs. But by no means is that any bad.
It's an average, maybe below average game. I mean,
the
could be worse, could be better.
The stats aren't terrible, but as it has really been with Carson Wentz for I feel like his whole career, the stats are a lot prettier than the film. You know,
it is. And I feel like you go, Dill.
Just real quick. And going back to Scary Terry, kind of reminding you, Tice, of Alshon Jeffrey. Scary Terry is, this is going his third, fourth year in the league, and he's already almost, if not almost, he's there at top 10 receiver. And I mean, who were his quarterbacks before then? I mean, you have Dwayne Haskins, who's now, backup for Pittsburgh, probably not even going to be on the team next season. Taylor Heineke, Alex Smith maybe for a couple games if he was there. I'm not sure, but Carson Wentz,
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, Ryan. Yeah, there you go. So I mean, Carson Wentz is
the best one-game wonder in the league.
Enter Scary Terry's career. So I think he's gonna have a monster career if Carson Wentz can hold it down.
I think that he definitely I think he could definitely get better, but I think that Scary Terry is just the slightest bit overrated. I feel he's definitely a solid receiver, but let's not act like Carson Wentz is inheriting like a blue chip, one of the best receivers in the game. He's inheriting a top 15 guy, a young top 15 guy, but I don't think that Scary Terry is some difference maker that's going to turn Carson Wentz from what he was in Indy to what he was his MVP year.
It's honestly funny that you say that because both those points, the one that you just brought up and the one that you just brought up, Dilly, are both things I was about to say. I don't think Terry's ever had a franchise quarterback. I think Carson Wentz is still a franchise caliber quarterback. You can definitely build a franchise around him. But at the same time, I personally don't think Scary Terry is a top 10 receiver. I don't. I know he has 15. The ability to be one, but he's not currently. I definitely think I can name 10 receivers that I would take over him.
Of course.
He's a good receiver. There's just better receivers out there.
I think I would say top 15. I'd say he's a top 15.
Top 15 maybe. Yeah, for sure. I think
he's
top 15
half.
For sure. But I definitely think their ceilings together are higher than anything they've had with anybody else. I don't think Carson Wentz's ceiling with Alshon is better than Carson Wentz's ceiling with Scary Terry. I think Scary Terry's ceiling is way better than anything he's had with any quarterback he's had up until this point. They complement each other very well. Scary Terry is a great deep threat, and Carson Wentz is a gunslinger as we know it. I think they work very well together. The thing that I wanted to talk about is the fact that I think the Colts are going to get Jimmy Garoppolo now. I think that's exactly what their plan is. They got that second-round pick for Carson Wentz to give it right back to the Niners for Jimmy Garoppolo, which would fit their scheme tremendously. I mean, their scheme is so similar to the Niners that it's scary. And with their first-round pick, they don't have a first-round pick, do they? They don't have one.
No, they don't.
Right. Okay. Well, with their second-round pick, there's still going to be plenty of receiver talent. You draft a receiver in that round. Their offense can be so scarily and eerily similar to the Niners with Jimmy G, who is a leader. As much as I do not like Jimmy Garoppolo, he is the perfect game manager for the Colts with a top 10 defense, basically the same exact scheme. I don't know what they're going to do this season without Matt, but it was the exact same scheme as it was with the Niners last season. Their run game is a power run game, just like the Niners last season. With Jimmy Garoppolo, it's going to be slotted in as the exact same quarterback. They just don't have the receiving help that the Niners do. And I feel like if you draft somebody and with Michael Pittman on the rise, I think that team can be the exact same way it was with the Niners. A wild card favorite, can be a dark horse in the playoffs. And they have 71. They're the number one team in cap space. They can go out and sign anyone they want to. I mean, they've already
re-signed all of their big guys,
all their big guys. They've already signed. I mean, hell, if they want to go out and get defensive stars like J.C. Jackson, they could get Carlton Davis for cheap. They can get, there's just so much out there right now. I mean, hell, get Allen Robinson to pair with Michael Pittman. It would be perfect. That team with Jimmy G, I do not like him. I will say it again. I do not like him, but I think you surround him with the right weapons and formulate it almost the exact same way the Niners did. I think that team can be, honestly, they can be the best team in that division. I mean, genuinely.
Oh yeah, I
That's
agree.
a
100%
Belichick
about Jimmy
made
G.
quarterback.
Jimmy
It's a
G to the
Belichick-made
Colts
quarterback.
makes like so much sense. I'd be watching a lot of Pat McAfee, and he's a big Colts guy, and he's literally been saying like all week, just get us somebody who's not going to check out of a run.
Exactly. Just
And so Jimmy G is like that guy to a T.
Jimmy G will do that, and I think that's the perfect way to run it. Just have Jimmy G do the bare minimum, and you will win. Honestly, I think they could win the majority of their games. They could easily go 12-5 next season. Easily.
Yeah, they can definitely win their division. I mean, their biggest competition in the division is the Titans, and like, no disrespect to the Titans, they were the 1 seed last year, but I definitely think that the Colts, with a quarterback who can fit that run heavy system. Oh yeah. I mean, outside of quarterback, I've been saying this like for a while. I feel like outside of quarterback, I think that's one of the best rosters in football.
Oh yeah.
I'd agree.
I mean, you look at that O-line, you look at the running backs. I mean, the only thing that and the defense has stars all over. I mean, you don't need to name the DBs, because honestly, I couldn't tell you who their DBs are right now.
Oh, I could tell you, Rocky Sin has been playing great football.
Yeah, Rocky Sin,
and that's the thing.
Kenny Moore.
Kenny Moore is
Buckner is a
Kenny Moore's
dog
a
on the
dog.
D-line. You have Darius Leonard at backer. You have that young kid. I think he's in his second, third year at Mike.
Quiddy
Bobby Okereke.
Yeah, Bobby Okereke. And then you have Quiddy Pay also on the D-line. There's so much defensive talent, and you can still add to that with as much cap space as you have. The offensive line doesn't need any changes. You can go out and get as many weapons as you need. Slot in Jimmy G. It's almost a done deal at that point. I feel like that team is a favorite in that division. I mean, literally, as you said, the only competition they have is the Titans. And as much as I love the Titans roster, and they were the number 1 seed last year, I don't believe in Tannehill, and I never will. And I think with Jimmy G, they can make that case. They can make that case for the best team in the division easily.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good. Trev, I've actually been wanting to, ask you this, but now since we're talking about Jimmy G, I know the Steelers were, a big organization, involved with him, but now obviously doesn't seem like the Steelers are going to pull that off. Who do you want to be next year's quarterback for you guys versus who do you actually think? If that makes sense.
If I could pick anybody to be the starting quarterback right now, I think it'd be Malik Willis. Realistically, I think Malik Willis is still a realistic option, but other options I would be happy with Mitchell Trubisky. I think he is very underrated. I don't think he was a problem anywhere he was.
Yeah.
He still has a lot left in the gas tank. If Malik Willis gets taken in the draft and Kenny Pickett's still there, I wouldn't be mad about that. Hometown kid.
I mean, shit, Deshaun Watson just got cleared.
Yeah, that too.
Deshaun Watson,
perfect.
It's
Kirk
funny
Cousins
you talk
is
about
on the
Mitch.
trade block.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about Mitch because I was honestly thinking, I was like, I see Mitch going there. And then also somebody that we haven't talked about in any episode, I low-key kind of see Sam Howell going there somehow, some way in a later draft pick. I kind of see it going. I kind of see him going there. I don't know why. I've always been a big guy in Sam Howell though. I don't know. That's just me. For some reason, I feel like they're going to draft him late. So.
I wouldn't be mad about that, but do I think that's our best option or our best solution? I don't
think he's the best option, but I just for some reason I have a weird feeling that they're going to take him late in the draft. Let's say they don't draft quarterback first one of the first few picks. He might be a later quarterback. You never know.
I will say when it comes to the Steelers, kind of an underrated fit, I think, is Desmond Ritter.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like his kind of more like veteran kind of vibe, maturity, and just like kind of the fundamental aspect of Desmond Ritter. I feel like that kind of fits the Steelers system. And obviously whatever quarterback goes to the Steelers, you can almost bet on them just kind of being a run scheme quarterback,
with
Najee Harris.
Yeah.
So I
And
mean,
Matt
like it's not
Canada's-
like you need a star, like a superstar quarterback to come in right away for the Steelers, but I do think that Desmond Ridder would be a nice fit if that becomes the best quarterback on their board at their pick.
Yeah,
You know, my
especially because
favorite-
Matt Canada's offense was really geared towards the end of Ben Roethlisberger's career, where it was very quarterback friendly
Yeah,
and
quick short passes.
Wise, yeah.
I mean,
So you
my
could slot
ideal,
him
my
in
ideal,
more success.
yeah, my ideal quarterback fit for the Steelers. Now that this whole Jimmy G thing is kind of leaning towards either New Orleans or Indianapolis. I actually like Kirk Cousins going to the Steelers. In the trade. I don't think Kirk Cousins is necessarily the answer in Minnesota, but I don't think he's the problem either. You're talking about a guy, with a good run scheme. He needs Kirk Cousins is already has a running back he can rely on, and going Pittsburgh, in these next few years, Najee Harris will be also maybe a top 10, maybe even a top 5 running back in the league. So I think Kirk Cousins will also be a pretty good fit in my mind. So
Najee's the see all do all type of guy. So
exactly.
I think it'd be
just
really
like Dalvin
fit.
Cook. So
I kept seeing talks about Kirk Cousins and Deshaun Watson ever since that happened being flopped, basically.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I feel like that would fit well, but I want to see Watson in Pittsburgh. I feel like
I think it's a good
that
fit.
would just
I'd be a
be
big fan of
fun.
that.
And I think Deshaun and Michael would get along very well.
I think so
Two
too.
hardworking, two very just focused guys in the same locker room, communicating all the time. Najee, I feel like the only downgrade is that the fact that the O-line is still awful. And I feel like if you're trading for Deshaun, you have to give up first. You have to.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're not going to be able. I feel like with the Steelers, I want them to draft a lineman with their first round pick and draft for somebody, or even just sign Jameis. Sign Jameis with your cap space money and draft a lineman and free agency. I feel like that's my best case scenario for the Steelers. Draft someone in the first round, use whatever cap space left after Jameis to get another lineman. And I feel like they're slotted very well because Jameis, I love Jameis. I feel like he's been hated for his whole career. And I think, honestly, when you get him in that play action scheme that the Steelers love, I feel like it would be perfect. You just run, and then just launch that bitch deep to Deontay. I feel like it would fit perfectly.
Oh yeah. Well, keeping up with some quarterback needy teams, we haven't really talked about this team much at all. How do we feel about the future of the quarterback position in Charlotte, North Carolina?
Let me kick that off, because this is what I feel. As much as I hate to say this, because I'm a fan of what's going on. I'm a fan of the Falcons, and the Panthers are in that division. I think the Panthers are going to be the team to take the big swing and go trade for Deshaun Watson. They've got so much cap space, so much draft capital that they can give up for it. And I think this coaching staff for the Carolina Panthers are entirely all on a hot seat together. So this is kind of a boom or bust year for them. And I think that you can't run it back with Sam Darnold or
Cam Newton
or
PJ Tucker
PJ Tucker. So you
PJ Tucker really hasn't even gotten a real shot.
I mean, PJ Walker.
PJ, I was
Walker.
about to
Yes,
say
I was like, PJ
plays
Tucker.
in the
PJ
NBA.
Tucker's a hooper. PJ Tucker's a hoop.
I was
PJ
like,
Walker's
yeah, he played
definitely
NFL now.
gotten his shot. He's started enough games
Yeah, I
in
agree.
Carolina, and he's even started and taken place of Sam Darnold and Cam Newton in games being interchangeable. So I think that the Panthers are a quarterback needy team, and Deshaun wants to get out of Houston. So
I mean,
we haven't seen Deshaun play in so long. I mean, I feel like he's gonna have a great year right off the bat if he gets to play this year. So
I mean, actually, yeah. Speaking of both these guys, actually, I did have something to mention in our very first episode about these two guys. Exactly, Deshaun Watson being one of them. Obviously, I saw that the Bucks were actually a team. Looking at Deshaun Watson, obviously, it would be
Really?
the most desirable fit for Deshaun Watson, but not necessarily from the Texans. I don't know if the Texans would want, that as much as Deshaun Watson would be. That's just one comment. But speaking of Carolina, they actually did make an offer to Minnesota about Kirk Cousins earlier in this offseason. Not sure if they said no, not sure if they said let's wait, not sure what was going on there, but they did offer a deal for Kirk Cousins, so we'll have to keep our eyes out for that.
Kirk Cousins is another guy who I'm not too keen on Kirk Cousins, I mean, he's a serviceable starter, but I don't see how there's a market for Kirk Cousins. Like the Panthers, that I feel like that's a team that every year finds himself in a spot where like, okay, we need to be carried by a quarterback because Christian McCaffrey is hurt. And Kirk Cousins is in a pretty goddamn dynamic offense in Minnesota already. And he just has never really taken that next step, especially in prime time. I mean, we all know about primetime Kirk, and so I don't know. I don't see how there's a huge market for Kirk Cousins. I mean, obviously he can be like one of those game manager type guys, but for the Panthers, I don't see that being a good fit at all.
I mean, I think with how that offense can be ran, I think Kirk, if with McCaffrey healthy, I think it could work very well. It's just the fact, I think everybody's always hating on Kirk because of what he hasn't done, but you also have to look at the team around him. I mean, the offense, it's not like the offense has been bad. The offense has been great, actually, with a poor offensive line. He's had the weapons to get it done, and he's got it done through his way. The defense just always seems to give it up in the late. I mean, you watched the games last year. I mean, you can bring up the Ravens as one of the games that you just watched, and you're just like, how? Like, how did you let that happen? Kirk was playing out of his mind. Dalvin Cook was playing out of his mind, and yet they still managed to lose that game. It's just, I think Kirk Cousins, if you send him to Carolina, he'd be going to a very similar situation with another top five running back when healthy. DJ Moore, another great receiver, just needs a quarterback, poor offensive line. But I think the difference is the defense is good. The defense is genuinely good versus how the Vikings have been in the past few years. The defense is great. Brian Burns, if they can get Hassan Reddick back, they have JC Horn, who I do believe in coming back. The defense has key pieces. The offense, if you trade your first away for Kirk, it might be a little harder, but they still have their second round pick that they can use on a kid like Zion Johnson. I feel like with that, Kirk Cousins could slot in and be a tremendous upgrade versus what they had with Sam Darnold and Cam Newton, given what he already has on that roster. Who knows?
All right. I'm going to throw a name out there. Marcus Mariota.
I don't like it.
Anybody
Are
here
we
a
talking-
Mariota guy?
I like Mariota.
I was a big believer in him.
I'm always going to be a big fan of the guy, coming from Oregon.
It's Marcus Mariota right there.
I don't think that he's had necessarily the greatest career, but I think he's been able to sit and learn behind some pretty great quarterbacks, and Tannehill being so serviceable, Derek Carr being arguably a top 10 quarterback in the league. So I think that he has a real shot to prove that he can still start in the NFL if a team wants to take the chance on him.
I agree. I think he deserves a shot.
He's been in the
for
backseat
sure.
for so long. Yeah, same with Tyson. I think he's been in the backseat for so long that why not give him a fucking shot? I think he's sat for so long. I mean, why not take a chance on him?
I can definitely agree with the chance. I mean, I understand that aspect of it, but when I look at the big picture of it, you let a guy like Ryan Tannehill take it. And we've talked about it. Ryan Tannehill is just not that guy in the seat. And if that's the case, how did Mariota let him take his job? And now he's a backup. He has plenty of gas left in the tank, but I just don't see it. But
we're saying Ryan Tannehill isn't the guy after seeing him fail. When he was succeeding the first couple of years of him in being in Tennessee, there was no question on whether it was Tannehill or Mariota, and that was the decision to end up for them to release him. and Marcus Mariota was the starter for Tennessee, like 2 or 3 years before Tannehill even got there. So I feel like the old coaching staff had seen enough of him to know that he wasn't going to be the new guy for the new regime.
Let's not forget that Marcus Mariota took the 2017 Titans, the pre-Derrick Henry dominance Titans, to the divisional round. I mean, they won a playoff game.
Yeah, but you gotta look at also what happened in that game. You say pre-Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry ran that game. Derrick Henry was the reason they won that game.
True, but that season, Derrick Henry, I mean, it was not a team built around Derrick Henry.
It was Derrick Henry and Derrick Lewis. It was both of them. It wasn't just
that season with DeMarco Murray, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that was the DeMarco Murray season, but
anyway, that was tail end DeMarco Murray.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's not like he took this current team with like this current like style of play and this dominant defense to the playoffs. So the 2017 Titans were not like the greatest team, and like he took them to the playoffs and got them a playoff win. I feel like that means something when you're the starting quarterback.
I don't know. I feel like it's always been a weird thing with me and Mariota just because of his health, being an athletic quarterback as he is. I mean, he never could still manage to stay healthy. That was another reason why Tannehill took his job. I feel like when you look at the big picture, if Mario can stay healthy and he's slotted into the right scheme, I don't want him running only when he has to, kind of like a Russell Wilson type situation. Uses athletic ability when you have to, not when you want to. And he could still be decent. I just don't see him being that franchise guy anymore. I just feel like at this point in his career, maybe a good bridge quarterback when you're looking for that guy. And if he ends up succeeding, keeping him around for a few years, but he's never going to be that guy anymore. He's never going to be that guy that you look at him and be like, I could build a franchise around him.
I was going to say, because of the Russell Wilson thing, why not Seattle? I mean, Seattle already has Drew Lock and all that stuff. Why not Seattle just take a chance on him? Bring him over, see what he can do in Seattle. If not, try out Drew Lock. If not, go get somebody else in the draft or trade for somebody with said picks that you guys have. You never know,
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly think that wouldn't be a bad fit for them.
I don't know if I believe that there are 32 starting quarterbacks better than Marcus Mariota.
Yeah,
and that's kind of my issue is that there's definitely someone on a roster, no team specifically, but a roster that he can replace and win the job over.
He can go to the Texans.
What is one team? What is one team that you guys could see him going to that he would be better than the quarterback on that roster right now?
The Steelers.
Anybody's better than that guy.
But you don't think they'd go after somebody bigger like Jameis or somebody in the draft?
I think.
But it's also.
I'm talking about like a realistic team that Mario will probably go to, like a team that he will. That they're not. What's up?
That's the thing is, I could see Mariota going to a team like the Steelers and them also taking a quarterback in the first round and kind of doing like the Chargers. They signed Tyrod Taylor the same offseason. They drafted Justin Herbert, and they were going to start Tyrod Taylor that whole season if it wasn't for him getting a freaking
punctured lung,
knife stabbed into his lung, basically. I mean,
right.
So I could definitely see that kind of situation playing out for Mariota, like him being like a bridge guy, but a bridge guy who can go in and win some games, a better bridge guy than Mason Rudolph.
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I mean,
definitely not a franchise guy at this point, I don't think, but definitely a guy deserving of a starting job again.
Yeah.
And he'd look good in black and gold. That's all I'm saying.
Are we ever going to talk about the Russell Wilson though? Because I feel like we need to talk about that.
We talked about him last episode.
We didn't.
No, but ever since the trade with Khalil Mack and how it gets worse. It's getting worse for him.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't think we covered that. I completely spaced that.
Sure.
I feel bad for Russell at this point.
Well, now there's just another edge rusher in that.
It just keeps getting worse.
Yeah. There's just another edge rusher to worry about in that
Yeah.
in that division.
And there's another team that has to worry about offensive linemen as well.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, even you got now the Chargers have Khalil. Now they have Joey Bosa. They still even have a Chenna Nwosu on the team, which I know that DiMaggio, you were a pretty big believer in a little bit ago. I don't know if you still are anymore.
Oh, yeah.
But those are three guys that are quick off the edge and they can do damage in both the run game and the pass.
Yeah, I know we talked about Russell, but we were already talking about how the offensive line's still not a strength on that team. It's very similar to the Seahawks, and he finally ran away from so many pass rushers, so many. And now it just seems like Von Miller's coming back to the Broncos, which is great. I mean, you don't have to worry about that going to anybody else. But Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, I mean, on just the Chargers alone, you have Chris Jones on the Chiefs. You have just so many people. Frank Clark, yeah. And I mean, the Raiders, they just signed Max Crosby to an extension.
To a bigger deal.
There's just Solomon Thomas killed it for the Raiders last year too.
Yep.
There's just so much he
And,
has to worry about. I feel like he just can't escape.
Cleveland Farrell.
Yeah. Like it's
Cleveland
Who
Farrell's
was
still on that
the
team.
other edge rusher? Never mind. I don't remember anymore.
It's just like I kept thinking about it this whole time. And like I was like, we were talking about quarterbacks. I know we already talked about Russell. It's just like like what can you say at this point? The guy just can't keep running.
Here's
Here's what I'll say.
Like
Here's what I'll say. We have 8 games on this NFL schedule next season that we know for a fact are going to be pure entertainment. And it's every AFC West like interdivisional game.
Yeah.
Like this is literally an arms race within a division like we've never seen before in our lives. I mean, the best quarterback division also just became the best edge rusher division in football. That's pretty crazy. I don't know if that's ever happened before.
I don't think so.
I don't think it has ever either. Like you look at every single star player on those rosters, and like I don't think anybody's going to disagree saying the AFC West is the division. Like that's the division right now.
Every roster has a top 10 quarterback. Every roster has at least one top 10 edge.
Yep.
Some have 2.
Some have 2. Some have 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well. I know. Moving on. I guess. Yeah, maybe. I guess we'll have to see. Moving on, I guess, to some NBA awards, NBA awards. You know, we're almost to the end of the season. Not to brag, but you know, Suns
15 games left.
Suns clinched a playoff spot the other day, beating the Heat. Sorry.
Hey.
Anyways, yeah. So we're almost to the end here. I got my coach of the year pick, Taylor Jenkins, coach for the Grizzlies. Obviously, who else could win this award besides him? Obviously, Monty Williams is a candidate as well. Eric Spoelstra is a candidate as well. But I still don't think, you know, any of those guys will have the edge over Taylor Jenkins. I mean, this time last year, the Grizz were 17-17. Granted that COVID happened and they had a shorter season and stuff, but still, I mean, that's what 34 games into the season, and this year, 34 into the games, the Grizzlies were a top 3 in the West. So Taylor Jenkins has done a great job.
I will throw a name out there for coach of the year who does deserve some love, and that's JB Bickerstaff of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
The Cavs are kind of like the Grizzlies of the East.
Yeah.
I feel like,
Right.
I mean, just a lot of young talent, but last year, nowhere near this level of like upper echelon in the conference, actually like putting it together into like winning games. So he definitely deserves some love, but no, I do agree that the Grizzlies head coach is probably the favorite.
Yep. I'm also behind that little bandwagon there. I think Jenkins is going to win that award this year for sure.
I feel like he has to.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're 45-22 right now, second in the West. So I mean, they're above technically they're above the Warriors. They're above the Jazz. They're above the Mavs. They're above the Nuggets.
We're all
The
playoff
only team they're behind is
teams,
the
like,
Suns.
every
They're all
year.
playoff teams.
Yeah. John Morant, obviously, no doubt about it, my front runner for MVP. You know, since the last time
For MVP,
since
you said?
Yeah, but wait, I'm not done. Since last time we talked about MVPs, we all mentioned Joel Embiid being one, but that was after the James Harden trade, and you know, kind of fell off my list. I actually have obviously Jokic again up there as well as Giannis. But yeah, John Morant. How can you not love the dude? How can you not want to see him win an MVP? You know, Grizzlies they still have a chance to get the 1 seed, I believe. There's enough games for them to catch up to the Suns.
He's gonna lose a
John
lot.
Morant's just the guy. If John Morant were to go out, the Grizzlies would obviously fall all the way downhill. But John Morant is that dude, and he is my MVP for this year. So
Don't get me wrong, I love John Morant. I totally agree with you. How can you not want to see him win an MVP? I definitely want to see him win an MVP, but I think not yet.
Yeah.
I feel like we're about a year early on it. I think that
Mhm.
if he carries what he's doing right now, especially of the last like 10, 20 games into next season, 100% my favorite for MVP, but I feel like it's a little early this year, especially with some of the elite big man play that we're still seeing this year out of Jokic, especially. That dude has been on a tear lately. I think that he has
Right.
climbed the mountain all the way to my favorite at the moment. That could change. It's been a very like fluid race all year. So, but at the moment, I would say Ja not there yet. Probably like right outside the
get you.
top 3, but
I get you.
he is definitely on the fast track.
Mhm. I'm also
sure.
gonna agree. I think Ja is just 1 year too early. I think again, if he continues this up next year or even into the playoffs, he's got a chance to just prove that he's that type of caliber player. I am gonna hate to say it, but I think that DeMar DeRozan is fallen out of my list for MVP. The Bulls just aren't. I mean, they're still 4 in the East, but it's just they're not playing as good of basketball as they were earlier.
The
DeMar's
Bulls are
kind of hit a
pretenders.
little.
I gotta come out and say
Hey.
it. The Bulls are pretenders. They're like 6-13 versus teams that are above 600, which proves that they cannot beat the winners of the East.
Can't compete, man.
Anyways, we're gonna skip past that. I think my 2 is the same as Tice. I think Joel's 2, or not even Joel. I think Giannis is 2, and I think Jokic is my 1 right now. The way he's playing is just unbelievable. So
I love what I'm seeing from this pick. 6th man of the year, Tyler Hero. I mean,
I think we all.
how
I
can you
think
not?
that's gotta be
that's the only
gotta
lock,
be
I
a
would say,
consensus.
of the
Exactly.
awards.
Yeah.
I mean, Trev
Yeah.
and I went to the Heat game in Phoenix when they played the Suns, and Tyler Hero was absolutely
Obliteration.
cooking.
He's a bucket.
Cooking. I mean, he's dropping, 30 plus points, in these games coming off the bench. I mean, not many people can do that. The fact that he's not really a starter actually kind of irritates me, but I mean, he's in a great spot. He's a great fit for the 6th man in Miami. So I love it.
I think we all agree on that. I think that's
Yeah.
just
Hero definitely a lock for 6th man of the year, but I will say, let me get on my Bucks fan soapbox real quick. A guy who has been forced to start most of the year, Bobby Portis, normally would be coming off the bench. I will say that going into next year, if Bobby Portis continues to be on his climb, when he's back to coming off the bench with Brook Lopez being healthy again, look for that to be one of the best 6 men in the league, because Bobby Portis has been on a tear this year. He literally just has started too many games to qualify for 6 man of the year. But all right, I'm done. Bucks fan, stepping down.
He also went on a tear last year in the playoffs too. Barney Buckets. He was tearing it up in the finals as well, not to mention. But
Milwaukee legend.
I might have a biased pick myself, being a Suns fan, but I got Mikal Bridges for Defensive Player of the Year. Almost won it last year. I mean, first time they played the Warriors this year, held Steph to under 15 points, which not many people can do. I mean, besides that, he hasn't really had that much of a standout performance defensively. But if you look at the stats, he's pretty steady throughout the season, and he's also one of the front runners. But he had the game-winning block against the Magic the other day. So he's long, he's tall, he can shoot, but his defensive ability is just out of this world.
No, I'll say something about the defensive play of the years. I think this is the NBA award that is up most for grabs. There hasn't really been a consensus on who's played the best defense. People always throw Rudy Gobert in there because he's the anchor for the Jazz. Draymond Green because he's the heart and soul of the Warriors. But there's a
Right.
lot of guys that could really snatch this reward from those two veterans. The three of mine most likely not to win it, but that'll probably get up there in votes. Bam Adebayo from the Heat. He has the single most switches in the NFL at like 500 and something, and then the rating with Bam on and off floor is just absurd. It's about a 25 point difference. Third, I will say, probably won't get it. Might win Rookie of the Year though. I really like him. Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley is a beast.
He's a dog.
You can't teach length at the 4 and the 5, but he is outstanding, averaging like almost 2 blocks a game. And I'd say my third one, I really do like Michael Bridges. You know, he keeps everyone in the Suns defensively in check and focused, and that's a underrated aspect of being a great defender.
Especially how bad the Suns have been defensively over the past few years. I feel like he really brought that juice finally on the defensive side.
I agree. I think Bridges is my front runner for defensive player of the year this year.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Nice.
I will say, it on the sports books, Rudy Gobert is the heavy favorite, but
which he usually is.
I really just don't know if they can give it to him again. I feel like voter fatigue will just really start to become a thing this year with Rudy Gobert winning Defensive Player of the Year, and so my pick honestly is Bam Adebayo.
I can definitely see that too, honestly.
Also, got to throw Giannis's name in there.
You always have to.
You just have to. You just have to.
I feel like for me, honestly, the two front runners are Bridges and Bam. I feel like they've shown enough to finally surpass Gobert this year. I know Gobert is always going to be the favorite at this point because all he's known for is defense. But I mean, honestly, Bridges, you guys are right. I feel like Bridges at this point is that guy for the Suns defensively. He's the reason why their defense has finally boosted the way it has. They've always been a bottom 5 defense ever since Devin came into the league, and it's been bad even before that. And ever since Bridges came in, they finally rise the ranks. So I feel like this is his year to lose it. Honestly, I mean, I feel like at this point, he's the front runner.
And Sai, it's funny you talk about Mobley possibly winning Rookie of the Year, which dude's having a great year, especially. I mean, a name that we haven't thrown out at all is Josh Giddey.
Josh Giddey is not winning Rookie of the Year. Dude.
There hasn't been enough scoring.
Granted, he's had all these triple doubles, but they're all under 20 points.
Yeah,
I think
they're all sub 20.
Giddey's going to grow to be a great point guard.
I think Mobley does win it, but I think Josh Giddey, I think he's also up there. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I get that, but Mobley, it's his. Again, it's his to lose. That's his award at this point. I feel like they've already given it to him as well as he's played. He's made the Cavs a contender.
Top three Rookie of the Year candidates, in my opinion, are Evan Mobley. You know, he's part of the reason the Cavaliers have been able to turn it around and figure out how to win and close games.
He is the reason.
2, Cade Cunningham. If you guys have not been paying attention to Cade Cunningham since the All-Star break, he has been balling and winning games for the Pistons.
Awful.
And it looks like he is slowly starting to figure out the pace of the NBA and how to play. And lastly, I would have to say
Jalen Green.
Scotty Barnes.
I feel like Scotty Barnes hasn't done enough, in my opinion. Like I feel like he's not really in talks. I would say what is his name from the Magic? Scotty Barnes. What is his name? Is it Mo Wagner or Franz?
Jalen Suggs.
Mo Wagner.
Mo Wagner he's been very good for the Magic.
That dude is nice.
Averaging like 15 points a game as a rookie, giving him the starting role. So.
He's actually tearing it up right now against the T-Wolves, ruining my parlay. You know, they're up 6 against the Timberwolves. So, yeah, we got that. Well, I guess
what about
we all
most
knew,
improved?
Most improved.
most
See,
improved.
this is where I think Ja takes
Yeah,
it
I was gonna say, I
without
think
hands
Ja
down.
wins this one.
Because there have been great players to improve, but if Ja is not winning MVP, he's winning most improved
Most
player.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is. He 100%.
I agree too. I feel like that's kind of the same track that Giannis went on. Like had that kind of breakout year, won most improved, and then there on it was just pure superstardom. You know, I feel like Ja could definitely be on that same path where in the next couple of years he's winning a couple MVPs. You know, just really taking that next step, and it all starts with this most improved year.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I feel
a couple of guys though who definitely deserve some flowers, who have taken big steps this year. Darius Garland, I would say that he's
Absolutely.
another huge reason why the Cavs are what they are. I feel like the Cavs are just such a cool team because it really seems like it's such a collective effort from like every little piece of that team, all just like being like their best versions this year and like improving the team. You know, Kevin Love having one of his best seasons as a pro.
Mhm.
Obviously, I mentioned JB Bickerstaff, the head coach, rookie of the year, Evan Mobley, Darius Garland. Like, there's just so many pieces of this team that are all so young and fun. Jared Allen, all-star. And then DeJounte Murray, another guy,
DeJounte Murray,
made his first
100%.
All-Star game this year. DeJounte Murray from the Spurs also deserves some love. And then Ant Edwards.
He's on.
Ant
Love
Edwards
man.
took a huge freshman to sophomore jump. I mean, he's looking like a solid 20-point-a-night guy for like a while here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It just knows how to score and get to the
He
hoop.
does know how to
Mhm.
score.
I feel like Ja has to win it at this point. I feel like
Has to.
when the season you had previous versus now that you're MVP front runner, you had to be most improved as well. Like when you compare the two seasons, he wasn't even the talks last year. He was just like, oh, you can definitely see like he will be good, but you don't know. This year, the improvements he's made, the record on his team, I feel like if he doesn't win it, it just doesn't make sense. The only kid that can even make a case is Murray. But Murray's season compared to Ja's season and the records they have alone, you just can't make an argument. I feel like Ja has to win it.
Ja has to win it. I mean, he's
Ja
had
has to
a
win
great
it,
year
yeah.
last year in general, but the fact that his season's even better this year, and he went from the Grizzlies. What they won the play-in, if I'm correct, last year,
Mhm.
They did.
and
Yep.
now they're the 2 seed.
Yeah.
Ja.
I mean, a good sleeper pick also for me. I mean, I guess we can all agree that Ja can win it, but just to keep in mind, you know, if you have any sleeper picks, Desmond Bane from the Grizzlies as well. I mean, second year
Desmond Bane's
shooting
been balling.
41%
Yeah, that boy
from
Desmond
three.
Bane is nice.
You know, last year he averaged just barely over 9 points, and now he's averaging almost 18 a game. So that's a huge jump in the NBA. So he's a good sleeper
Definitely.
pick, as well as Anthony Simmons, I guess, in a way. Now that CJ
Yeah.
McCollum's gone, he's gonna have to step up,
Mhm.
helping Dame carry the Trailblazers as well. So
Ah,
I like those two
carry him
guys.
carry him to the
Carry him, yeah,
12th
right.
seed
Carry
instead
him
of
to
13th
yeah,
seed.
exactly. That's what we're going for. We
Feel
all
bad for Dame, man.
yeah, one quick baseball take before we have Bushy give us his parlay. We all knew the Dodgers offered Freddie Freeman a multi-year deal, but it's looking like they offered him a deal that the Braves cannot match. So it looks like the Braves are going to be losing their longtime franchise player. So it's good to see.
Freddie.
Good to see being a Nats fan, get him out of the East. So love
But
that.
now he's on the stacked Dodgers, so that kind of sucks too.
It's gonna suck.
It does
It is
make
gonna
me
suck.
happy that he got a ring in Atlanta, though.
Before he left,
yeah.
yep.
I feel like that's
yeah.
definitely like even if he goes and wins 3 with the Dodgers, I feel like that one he won
It's
for
worth so much
for
more
the ATL will always be like closest to his heart.
easily.
Yeah. I mean, Dodgers and the Lakers kind of the same way in some sense. You know, they have all this cap space. They go out and get all these superstars. And granted, they won the World Series a couple years ago due to COVID, though, in like a 50-game season.
That's also
You
true.
know,
Very similar
they
situation.
always fall short. So
Yep.
not sure if it's going to change much. Bush, hit us with the parlay.
All right, so my parlay isn't the parlay of the day. It's going to actually the parlay of the weekend. The Suns play the Lakers, and I'm taking their money line at plus 215.
Okay.
Mm.
I like
I like it. I like it. It's kind of
Perfect.
odd that they're not the favored against
Favorite,
the
yeah.
I don't know. The
That's-
Lakers are wasn't it like 2-17 in their last 19 games? I don't know why they're not.
Yeah,
the
the Lakers
favorite.
are booty.
Yeah.
Even if they're playing in LA, I'm still taking the Suns.
I feel like you just
10
I feel
times
like
out of
they
10
you
this
just
year.
never want to bet against LeBron. I mean,
Right.
I feel like it's one of the scenarios. You just never want to bet against LeBron, but I would definitely bet.
And the Suns
that's a
have
1
already-
seed. That's a 1 seed against the 9 seed. Come on now.
And the Suns have beaten all other 29 NBA teams this season. So
Yeah.
not to
Hell yeah.
mention.
Not to
It's a good-
mention, not to flex or
That's a
nothing.
good stat to have.
While we're talking NBA, should we throw out some finals picks just for the heck of it?
Another
I know we
finals
did
picks.
this,
Yeah,
but
do
I'm
we can
down.
update them.
I-
We can.
I
Suns.
still got Sixers Suns. I still got Sixers Suns. I'm still confident that the Suns will obviously get out of their little slump they're in when CP3 comes back just in time for the postseason. And I don't think anyone in the West is going to stop them. I guess we do got to worry about playoff Warriors because I know they're
Yeah.
playing terribly right now, but when postseason
Yeah,
comes,
the
Steph
Warriors
and
have
Clay-
underwhelmed me lately. I originally
Right.
had the
I mean,
Warriors
they'll-
in my finals pick, but I'm definitely starting to think that a Bucks Suns rematch is
Yes,
rather
sure.
inevitable. And I'm here for it.
hopefully a different
I'm
outcome.
with you. I'm with you with the Bucks. I actually have the Bucks going to my championship as well, but I'm also going to take the other 2 seed. I'm actually going to have a Grizz Bucks championship this year.
If there's anybody who can shock the world, it's definitely the
Definitely
Grizz. There's a
the
lot of
Grizz,
like fresh
yeah.
faces who are
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be high seeded in these playoffs, and I think
And
the Grizz
you're
have the best shot to.
and you're gonna have an energized, extremely ecstatic job playing on the field on the court every night.
It's gonna be crazy watching. The whole world will be watching Jaw play. You know, it's a perfect story.
He's about to see the ticks again.
Well, okay. Here's what I gotta say. I think Saya is gonna agree with me. Nobody's talking about the Heat. They're the number 1 seed in the East.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely
Come on
can
now.
see
Come on
that being the
Yeah.
finals. I think it would be. Personally, I think it will be Suns Heat. I know they're both 1 seeds. It's not very like pick, but the Heat are playing great ball,
Oh, yeah,
both
they are.
on offense and defense.
And
Without Jimmy
Jimmy
Butler.
Butler.
Yeah, and without Jimmy. I think the one thing I will say about the Ticks, because obviously I still have Ticks going to the ship, but I think last time we talked about this, the Ticks were on a run and they're still on the same run. They've lost 3 basically in the last
2.
20 games.
2 in the last 10.
2 in the last 10, but 3 in the last 20.
They're
basically.
on a 4-game win streak right now.
4-game win
Exactly.
streak, and they're playing the Pistons right now, which I cross my fingers will also be another win. So I'm saying, don't count them out yet. I genuinely think that the 2 through the 5 seed, 6 seed are all up for grabs. Every single one of those. They're basically, I think they all basically have the same exact record. At 40 and
You got
27.
2 games back, 3 games back, 3.5 games back, 4 games back.
Yeah, they all have the same, damn near the same record. The Heat I feel like the Heat are going to get the 1, but all those ones can be slated anywhere. I think the Ticks can come out with the 3 or the 2nd seed and play some of the bad teams in that East.
Here you go. This is going to make you happy here. So, Sixers are 40-25. The Bulls are 40-26, and the Celtics are 40-27. So they all have 40 wins. They're all a few games back. I think the Heat are going to roll away with this 1 seed going into the playoffs. But I feel like that 3 to 5 seed is all going to be throughout the rest of the year. It's going to be one's going up, one's dropping back down. One's going back up.
We'll just have to see. But I'm still gonna take my Ticks. I'm gonna say Suns Ticks. You know what? Screw it. Nobody wants to see the Ticks in the championship, but I will see them.
I'd love to see Jason Tatum win a championship. I just don't know if he
Tatum
will
the
this year.
ring, it'd be easy money. I'd love it.
Oh yeah.
I'll kind of keep it rolling. You know, I'm not gonna come off my Heat Grizzly take that I had made a couple episodes ago, but if I had to revise that and not put my own team up in there, I would have to say, give me a Bucks Suns rematch. I think other than the Heat Grizz, I think the Bucks Suns are easily the next favorites to win both of their respective conferences.
Oh yeah.
That'd be a great series. I mean, we all know when they played each other for the first time this season. The Suns are obviously a way more better. They're a way better team than they were last year in the playoffs. Clearly, the record shows. Giannis said it himself. You know, he went out, got Landry Shamet. You know, he's a dagger coming off the bench. You know, Torrey Craig. He's a great teammate. Suns teammates love him. You know, he's great. He's great in the Valley. Cam Johnson, absolute dog this season, shooting like an animal. So I love it. I love the Suns Bucks rematch.
Who you got, Trev? We haven't heard much from you about this one. Who you got?
I'm sticking with what I said. Whatever episode it was, I want to see a rematch.
Bucks Suns.
Bucks Suns.
Who you got in 4 though?
Suns and foe.
Suns and foe,
baby. That's Suns and foe. Yeah, Trev.
Too bad it was Bucks and 6. Damn, who would have thought?
Yeah, well, that's what happens. That's what
Bucks and
happens.
6. How many?
That's what happens when you go up 2-0 and then get swept the rest of the way. You just can't do that. So.
Yeah.
Really, in reality, it was
The Suns took these two.
It
and then the
was
Bucks
Bucks
took
and foe.
It was Bucks.
Look at it that way.
It was they had 2 little warm-up games, lost the warm-ups.
Basically, 2 scrimmages real quick, and then let's get the 4 in a row.
Yeah.
Get it out.
It was
Shoot,
okay.
boys.
We're playing now.
I didn't even realize this, but the play-in tournament is a month from today.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're closing in on it pretty soon.
Yeah,
We're gonna find out for ourselves.
it will be exciting.
Hell yeah. Gotta love some playoff.
I want
basketball.
to see a playoff without LeBron James in it. That's all I'm saying.
Same.
Or
Mhm.
Kevin Durant.
First time
sound
forever.
like every other Brady hater.
I wouldn't know what that's like. I wouldn't know what that's like.
This guy.
Well, I guess that'll wrap up our episode 4.
Shoo.
Thanks for tuning in per usual. I feel like this was a pretty great episode. We all had some amazing takes.
I'm
Episode
gonna warn
5.
you there, Dilly. I think this was a fucking kick-ass episode.
Oh yeah, and I think episode 5 might be even a little better. You know, now that MLB free agency has started, we might see some big names moving around.
Shoot, we
NFL
basically are about to see
won't-
one. So
We about to
Right,
see that
MLB
free agency and NFL starting next week as well.
Mhm.
Yep, exactly. So we'll have
It'll get crazy.
look forward to 2 fire
Even-
episodes next week.
we'll have even better episodes next week and the week after that. So please tune in, follow us on Instagram, and have a great night from the lunch table.